You're listening to Now I've Heard Everything. Conversations with the icons of our time.
The only pressure I remember out of that year was that going into August, the middle of August, I was ahead of Babe Ruth's record. And I'm thinking, maybe I can hit 61 home runs, you know?
Baseball Hall of Famer Mickey Mantle. Today on Now I've Heard Everything. I'm Bill Thompson. Well, it's the Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series starting tonight. This is the 12th time in their history that the two teams have clashed in the Fall Classic. The most recent time was in 1981. But back in the 1950s, it was almost every year Yankees-Dodgers. 7 times that decade. The 1956 World Series was particularly notable because of what happened in Game 5. The Yankees' Don Larsen pitched what was still, to this day, the only perfect game in World Series history against the Dodgers. Now, Don Larsen's perfect game was preserved that day by a spectacular 8th-inning catch by Yankee center fielder Mickey Mantle.
There's a drive to left center. Mantle digging hard. Still going. Great catch. How about that?
Mantle won the Triple Crown in 1956, leading the American League in homers, RBIs, and batting average. In fact, it was such a great time that's why Mickey called his 1991 memoir My Favorite Summer, 1956. Now, I met this baseball legend in the spring of 91 to talk about the book. Now, there are a couple of unusual things about this episode of Now I've Heard Everything. Number one is about the interview itself. The day that I went to Mickey's hotel room to interview him, I brought along with me the sports director of the station we worked for, a guy named Vince, and Vince and I had agreed in advance we would split the allotted time. He would have a few minutes with Mickey, I would have a few minutes with Mickey. Vince went first, sat down with him, he's doing the interview, everything's fine. Immediately, Vince got up from his chair. I sat down in the chair to start my interview, but apparently Mickey was a little confused as to exactly what was going on, as you'll hear in a moment. Once we got going, it was a terrific interview. But the other notable thing about this particular episode of Now I've Heard Everything is I didn't have that much time with Mickey Mantle. So the episode's a little bit shorter, and that's why I've added a little bonus material at the end. So I hope you'll stick around for the entire episode. In a moment, my conversation with Mickey Mantle.
Come back with us now as we relive a little piece of our cultural history on Now I've Heard Everything. This interview is from Bill Thompson's 30-year archive. Enjoy.
So here now, from 1991, Mickey Mantle.
Why did you call the book My Favorite Summer? Well, it was... Are we acting like you ain't been listening to this shit?
Right.
God damn, I just said that.
Okay, so we can edit that.
We'll start all over.
There you go.
Bleep, bleep, bleep.
All right, you're okay. Now, all right, now we're rolling again. Just start right from the very beginning.
No, we're just acting like you just got here.
Right.
Okay.
We're not the same.
Why did you call the book My Favorite Summer? Well, when I first came to the Yankees in 1951, I went to a rookie school out in Phoenix, Arizona, for all the best rookies in the Yankee organization, and I did really well at that rookie school. We had races and batting practice and everything, and Casey saw that I'd had a great year at Joplin, Missouri. I hit 380 something, and I led the league in everything in Class C. And at the rookie school, I outran everybody and hit balls left and right-handed. So he said, "I'm going to keep this kid on for the real spring training," and I did really good. I think I hit like almost 15 home runs or something like that in spring training with the Yankees. And at that time, I was supposedly going to replace Phil Rizzuto. Well, Maggio had said that was going to be his last year in center field, so Casey said, I wasn't that good a shortstop anyway. So Casey said, we'll make this kid a center fielder. And he started sending back stories back to New York. I played in center field, and I was hitting home runs right and left-handed and bunting and outrunning the ball to first and everything. He started sending back stories to New York. This is the most phenomenal kid I've ever seen, and the players started calling me Phenom. And we come back, start the season and everything, and it just really didn't work out like the Casey had said. And so one day I struck out 4 straight times in Boston, and he called me in the office, and he said, I'm going to have to send you back down to the minor leagues. And he did. I was down there 6 weeks, and I finally started hitting again. He brought me back. And then I had fairly good years in 52, 53, 54, and 55, but it was never like he had said I was going to do. And the people in New York, I don't know if you've been to Yankee Stadium or not, but they're great fans. But if you don't do what they think, I mean, they can get on you pretty good. I even heard them boo Joe DiMaggio, so I wasn't too surprised when they started booing me. But anyway, up until 56, I just didn't do what Casey said. And then after this year, in 1956, I started doing, I had a great year. And it just took a great big load off of my shoulder. It was also, I think it was probably the turning point of my whole career. I mean, it made me relax a little bit, and I thought, well, at least they know I can do that, So from then on, it was gravy.
Did you know then that it was going to be a great year for you, or does it look good now looking back on it?
No, I'll tell you what. Opening day that year here in Washington, I told this guy I wouldn't say this, but he told me it was 35 years ago today that this opening day here, I hit 2 home runs in the trees in center field. Nobody had ever hit one there before. I think Larry Doby hit one over center field, but it didn't go into the trees. And somebody had interviewed me before that game. And I don't know, because it's not Mickey Mantle talking, but I saw the interview. I think it's Major League Baseball has the interview. And somebody says to me, do you have any predictions for this year? And I said, I think I'm going to lead the league in home runs, batting average, and RBIs. And why I said that, I have no idea, but I did. And like I said, that's not me talking, but I guess I was cocky that day. I really did feel good. And the whole year, I think it was the most injury-free year I ever had. And I just felt like I was going to do good, and luckily I did.
Well, everybody the first couple of weeks of April, they're batting 500, 600, everybody looks great. All the teams are in or near first place. How far into the season do you know when it's going to be, when the dust has started to settle? How soon do you know, this is going to be a good year?
I think I knew from opening day, maybe before opening day, because I did say that, and I can't get out of it. It sounded cocky. And like I said, that's not me. But I really did feel like I was going to have a great year that year. And I just felt, I can remember thinking, just don't let me hurt a leg or something. Like, don't get hurt and you'll be all right. And luckily, I went right through the year. I think I might have had a couple of pulled hamstrings or something like that, but nothing really serious.
How can you give it 100%, though, if you're always worrying about, I can't get hurt, I can't get injured?
Well, I think that's probably the reason I did get injured so much. I finally just said, hey, look, you got to just forget that. And you can. If you run around uptight, you can get hurt because you're like too tight, And I think I did really, after that opening day that day, I think I really relaxed and I just said, hey, I'm going to have a great year. And I did.
Of course, when we look back on things, the further back, of course, they are, especially, the better they look. Was it as much fun then as it now seems like it was?
I think so. That was well. The Dodgers has beaten us in '55, and we were all like out to prove, that we could come back and be the world champions again. And it was really a lot of fun. It was a loose team, really, and I don't remember any pressure. The only pressure I remember out of that year was that going into August, the middle of August, I was ahead of Babe Ruth's record, and I'm thinking, maybe I can hit 61 home runs, And I think that was the most pressure. I didn't realize that Ted Williams and Al Kaline was that close to me, and Ted Williams was tied with me going into the last 6 games, and that's the greatest hitter that ever lived, in batting average. And Kaline was only 2 RBIs behind me in the RBI deal. And then somebody come by and told me that, and pressure got a little worse. But up until then, I don't think there was any pressure except for the home runs trying to beat Babe Ruth.
Well, see, there you can't play either every day thinking, well, gee, I got to get another RBI today so I could stay ahead of so-and-so. I got to get another hit today so I stay ahead. You just got to play one game at a time, one at bat at a time, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that I had to do that.
When you think 1956, when just somebody says that year, what are the first images that come to mind?
1956? I can't remember her name. She was about 5'10". What the fuck is that? What kind of images?
Was it a fun book for you to write?
I tell you the truth, between me and you, Phil Pepe wrote the book. He came down to Mickey Mantle and Whitey Ford Fantasy Camp. I've got 2 weeks down there where all I have to do is ride around on a golf cart. And I told him if he would come down there and bring his tape recorder, we would talk about everything. He wrote all the questions, the answers, not the answers, he wrote all the questions and come down there and we talked for 2 weeks and he did the book.
I want to ask you one other quick thing if I could. This December is the 50th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. And what I'm doing is, in the months leading up to that, I'm collecting people's recollections of where they were, what they remember on Pearl Harbor Day, so that on
15th anniversary.
The 50th anniversary.
Oh, I thought you said 15th.
No, I think it's been 50 years.
50 years ago, I was 7.
Do you remember where you were on Pearl Harbor Day?
I was 7, right? Do you? You weren't even born, right?
No, I don't remember.
Is that the reason you're going around asking everybody? I was 7 years old. I was in Commerce, Oklahoma. I can barely remember. I remember my dad telling. I remember everybody getting really excited about it. My mom and my dad come home from working in the mines, and I said, "What is it, Dad? What's going on?" You know, or, I can remember this, and he said, "We're going to have a war with Japan." I didn't even know Japan. You know, I'm 7 years old, so. I said, "Well, what do you think?" And he said, "I will win it. There's nothing to worry about." So that's all I remember.
After this short break, a bonus material, my conversation with one of Mickey Mantle's teammates.
Are you finding this interview engaging? Curious about the book we're discussing?
Simply click the link in our show notes or visit our website, heardeverything.com, to get your copy.
When you shop through our affiliate links, you're not only enjoying great content, but also supporting this podcast.
Thank you for your support.
During Mickey Mantle's second decade with the Yankees, one of his teammates was a young pitcher named Jim Bouton, who later became much more famous for the book he wrote called Ball 4 than he was perhaps as a Yankees pitcher. But here now, a few minutes from a 1994 interview with Jim Bouton.
This book, I think, allows the reader to get inside the mind of a ball player. What's it like the night before the game? How does he get to sleep? What's it like when he wakes up in the morning? What is he thinking about? What does that feel like? You go to the ballpark. There's tremendous responsibility and pressure. You walk out to the mound. You don't have it warming up. You don't have your best pitch. It's not working for you. What do you tell yourself on the mound? You get runners on base. Bases loaded. The umpire's not giving you the calls. You don't know why. You think it may be you're not good enough to be in the big leagues. What do you tell yourself? So this, I think, gives the reader a chance to get inside the head, inside the mind of a professional athlete.
Well, thank goodness you had to make up that part. And just imagine that part about being cut, because you'd never been cut by a team.
Oh, been cut in many, many creative ways. And one of the most humiliating things for an athlete is that once a management decides they no longer need you, you cease to be a human being as far as they're concerned. They just are so cavalier about how they tell you. It is not uncommon for ball players to pick up the morning newspaper and see their picture and the fact that they've been traded, or a sports writer tells them. Or I've seen cases where the clubhouse boy will tell you that you've been cut. I've seen situations where in spring training, the whole team comes in after a workout, and everybody that's going north has a bag in front of their locker that's all packed with their equipment. And if your bag isn't packed, see you later. You're not on the team. And it's the strangest thing. But no, it's baseball has changed for major leaguers, but it has not changed for the minor leaguers. To them, you're just a piece of meat. Somebody needs a pitcher in Albuquerque for 3 weeks. Call up Sam Ward. Never mind that he just arrived in Buffalo from, Tacoma.
You really have to love the game, then, to stay in it. On the off chance that someday you'll crack the show.
The worst thing that can happen in professional sports is for you to be almost good enough. Because if you're not good enough, clearly, then you can get out of the game and move on with your life. Go back to college, start your own business, take that job at the plant or whatever, work for dad. But if you're close enough, and you're so close, you're so close, you keep going back year after year, and now you've got so much time invested in it. You're like the poker player who has so many chips in the pot, you can't fold. You have to stay in there. I've seen there are minor leaguers who are in their mid-30s who just can't give it up, and
it's a heck of a way to make a living.
It is. But there are some guys who love it so much and who are so close they just can't. They tell themselves that they can't give it up.
But you keep forgetting there are umpires in the minor league too. They're going to those same ballparks in front of those same crowds of 912 people.
It's tougher for an umpire than it is for a baseball player. At least a ball player has the companionship of his teammates. He can usually find one or two guys to hang out with, but an umpire travels around the circuit with three other guys. If you don't like the three guys, or you don't get along with them or have nothing in common with them, you're all alone. Nobody buys dinner for an umpire. Nobody takes an umpire out for a few drinks after a ball game.
And plus, umpires get all the leftover groupies.
That's right. You get the remains, and if you call a bad game, everybody knows it and reminds you about it. If you call a good game, you're anonymous. You're like you weren't even there. You were like.
I can't recall the last time I walked away from a ballpark, people saying, "Boy, wasn't the officiating good tonight?"
Yes. Boy, they sure did a good job umpiring back there. So it's no, it's not fun being an umpire.
Jim Bouton passed away in 2019. Mickey Mantle was inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame in 1974. He died in 1995 at the age of 63. Now you can get your copy of My Favorite Summer 1956 by Mickey Mantle by tapping the link in our show notes, or by clicking the link in the description below if you're listening to this on YouTube, or by going to our website, heardeverything.com. We may earn an Amazon commission if you make a purchase. Heardeverything.com is where you can also hear my 1988 interview with another fabulous New York center fielder, Willie Mays.
I didn't want to be just a ball player. I didn't want to be just a guy every day go out and do the same thing other guys did. I tried to create things. One of those was the hat, the basket catch.
And my 1991 conversation with the man who for many years held baseball's all-time home run record, Hank Aaron.
I started my baseball career in 1953 in the Negro American League. I made $200 a month. I got $2 a day for meal money.
And of course, we post new episodes of Now I've Heard Everything every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. Next time on Now I've Heard Everything, next Tuesday, the 29th of October, is World Stroke Day. So next time on Now I've Heard Everything, my 2002 interview with the man who turned out to be one of the most prominent stroke victims in America, the incredible actor Kirk Douglas.
I have had my stroke of luck because with my stroke, I have become a better person. It has changed me drastically, and I have learned a lot.
That's next time on Now I've Heard Everything. I'm Bill Thompson.